everybody!
Hello, we are back. There's fireworks going off.
Oh.
Now, it is November 2019, and we still have planned obsolescence on our Androids. Every 5 years, they just stop working. What the hell is that about?
I thought this was supposed to be a Halloween stream.
Yes, but it's November 2019. It's the dateline of Blade
Oh,
Runner.
Blade Runner, yes, absolutely, yes.
Hello,
That's why I
all the
didn't
way
get your
up there.
reference.
We've mounted the camera a little high tonight.
Yes.
That's good. That's.
Can we have the chat up somewhere where we can actually read it?
It is. The problem is there's something over the top. So there we go. How is the sound?
Yeah, tell us what the sound is like. There was a little bit of issue with kind of feedbacky stuff.
Yes. Oh, you've poured me coffee. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Welcome to our Halloween special, where we are going to go through all of our spooky games.
They say the sound is good. Fantastico. Yes, so we kind of pulled a lot off our shelves, and I actually realised we have way more horror-orientated board games than I previously thought. Yeah, but I'm surprised
You're
because...
mad on anything Cthulhu. Oh, it's Cthulhu. Bye.
Yes, but...
I'm wearing a zombie top.
Yeah, Resident Evil.
Umbrella
Cthulhu
Corporation.
Resident Evil, yeah. But we don't do much for Halloween, and like...
Well, we do not like traditionally. The real life role playing group plays a Cthulhu game every Halloween.
Yeah, and we did carve pumpkins with H.P. Lovecraft and the Elder Sign one year as well, which is cool. But this year I had a work due on Halloween,
and I just have the real life group has kind of petered out a little bit because of the convention, and we just haven't got back on top of it. Since so we're a bit, to be honest, it feels like we haven't really role played
in a while,
in ages, because our online campaign is just changing over to new campaigns. There's been character gen. We didn't play last week for various reasons. So we actually haven't role played in ages. So we got to thinking about what are we going to do for tonight's show. What's the topic of the day, as it were. And we usually come up with 2 or 3 things, and I'm like, well, I haven't role played in ages, so let's do all of our spooky board games. Spooky board games.
Spoopy.
All the horror
board games.
Because
Yes.
oh, Nathan H. And hello everyone in chat that we've not caught up with.
Yes, hello.
Nathan H. just said, I thought Halloween wasn't really big in England. It's more of an American holiday.
Well...
You're about to say something, I'm waiting.
Yes. So, yes, Halloween is indeed very American with the pumpkins and autumn leaves and stuff like that. But it came from pagan traditions of Samhain, and where I come from, it's called Hoptune. So we actually traditionally carve pumpkins. We traditionally carve turnips.
Yes, which is wrong.
Well, it's very difficult
hard to carve.
Yes. So that is the tradition, because they look kind of like shrunken heads, I suppose, and you're supposed to go singing door to door to get money. It was money rather than sweets traditionally. You bob for apples and stuff like that. And it kind of moved over across the pond, and pumpkins are easier to carve and I think look cooler than pumpkins in some ways. And as Ronnie says, Halloween is also big in Scotland. Trick or treat's a very American thing, but before then, you had
Here's the thing. I remember the very first time I ever went out trick or treating, and the first person I knocked the door of, one of my neighbours, they'd just moved in, and they were American, and they'd never heard of trick or treating.
Oh, right. Well, the Manx tradition is interesting with because it's not officially pagan like Samhain, but basically just before then it's called the Melia, which is like a big harvest festival. So everyone would gather in all their food and all their crops, and they'd celebrate, oh, look at all this amazing food we have to carry us through the winter. And then just after that is Hoptune, where the ground is barren and there's nobody out in the fields, and it's got that kind of spooky feel. So I suppose that's how it came about, and like the spirits would sort of wander and so on. What's that for?
Cut. Well, that's for action, obviously, but cut.
But yeah,
right?
I was going to say what?
Because if we're going to do this, we have to first do the most important people in the world.
Okay, and then just after that, I want to do a couple of really quick Con Plus updates.
Okay, Right, so, the most awesome people in the world...
Which we haven't changed the thing. We've just got it handwritten, sorry.
No, it's fine, it's fine. They won't know. They can't read it back here anyway. It's all good.
Maybe
Right.
they've got extremely good eyesight.
We only stream at 7:20. Russell Higgins, you are amazing. Johnny
Yes.
Mangina, you're wonderful. Mark Frelful, you're brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Amber, you're awesome.
Yay!
Brandon Fishwick, you're scintillating.
I thought you were
I'm
going to say
running
you're
out of these.
sexy.
Dave Poirier,
You're probably sexy
you're
too.
sexy.
Oh yeah.
AJ, steaming.
G'day.
I'm running out of accurate. Fugue Enterprises, you're simply brilliant.
Yes, he is.
Nate Hanshan, you're unequivocally
In
awesome.
chat.
In chat.
Yeah, Nathan H.
Awesome. Philip Bate, you are
My groomsman.
delectably amazing. We've done amazing. Superb. Have we done superb? Don't know. Elizabeth Chai Predictable, you're wickedly wonderful. And David Gaskin, you're really specially
Special.
awesome, brilliant, special something. I'd run out of words.
I hope you're keeping these quotes, people, because seriously.
These are the most awesome people in the world. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for supporting us on Patreon. Now, you had a couple of Complus updates. Can I just say, postal prices?
Yes, you do postal.
Okay.
She's in charge of postal, I'm in charge of digital.
So, the first few prices we actually dealt with very quickly. They were people I either know or know how to, like, local enough I could drop off.
Know where our house is.
Yes. So, then it's a case of post and packing. Now, I have got just under half of the packing, like everything's picked. That takes time, believe it or
It
not.
actually does.
Because there's a lot of stuff. So everything's picked. So, we have to go through, we make pick lists, we get it all, I trim it all out on the guillotine and stuff and make these little piles of stuff. So there's piles all over our games room. We can't use our games room right now. So everything's picked. Just under half of it is packed, sealed,
And ready
address
to post.
stuff. All the address labels are done for everyone else now as well. So we are going to send the first batch of postal stuff out this weekend. It won't be everyone, because some of you have won a lot of awkwardly shaped stuff,
Yes.
which needs me to go out and get special packaging
Yeah.
things for. So, and I have to consider each one and work out how I'm going to parcel it up to send it to wherever it's got to go. And so all the rest takes some special consideration. So they will take a little longer, but the first batch will be going out this weekend. So if you've won stuff that fits into up to
A three-dimensional space.
a jiffy bag, a large jiffy bag, you'll probably get it relatively soon. Of course, though, some of you are international, and that can take several weeks.
Oh, well,
so.
yeah. But
That's the physical stuff.
Fortunately, because we have not left the EU, we haven't got any issues with
That was a
customs and stuff. However, with the Cyberpunk game, that has now finally arrived. It was sitting in customs for a little while, so we were kind of waiting on that.
Yeah, no, I should mention that.
Yeah, good point.
So when Cyberpunk Red finally arrived, weirdly, right, so the package, there's 5 boxes of Cyberpunk Red we're giving away. It comes in a box about this big, which was inside a box about this big,
Okay.
which was inside a box about this big.
Well, no wonder customs were confused.
No, it's because it got repackaged by UPS
Yeah.
when it got damaged in transit, so they repackaged it, and then
Yeah.
it got repackaged again by FedEx so that they could put their letter inside, because they were the ones that actually delivered
Yes,
it in
yeah.
the UK. I think it was FedEx. So now some of the boxes do have a little bit of damage, but as far as I can tell, without opening things up, it is just the exterior box, and some of them are actually okay. It just is what it is.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. But yeah. So yes, I have the Necromancer T-shirt on.
Yeah, these are actually both QWERTY t-shirts.
Yeah,
I
they
just
are.
thought that
yeah.
they're not sponsoring this video or anything or product placement. No. So with digital, I have sent all the emails that I need to send to everybody who's won either a digital prize that involves a code or an attachment thing like a zip file or a PDF. Or anybody as well who's receiving post. I have sent confirmation just to remind you of what you've won, and Please check the emails if you've got physical, because I've asked you to confirm if your address is correct. Because we do not want to send things to the wrong address. I'm sure you put it correctly, but even so, it would help if you could just let us know if there's any issues. And yeah, that's all sent. So if you've one more thing. Anybody who's getting prizes sent direct from sponsors, either physical or digital, those have all been requested from the sponsor. Some have already done it, some haven't, but most of them have. So most of those ones as well should be in your inboxes. So check your spam as well, and also some will be coming via Drive-Thru RPG. So again, it might look a little bit different from what you expect, but yes, they're all there.
Okay, so a couple of hundred already sent then, sent and delivered.
Yeah,
woohoo! We're getting there. House will be back to normal soon.
Yes.
Talking of tearing our house apart, though, we seem to have a huge pile of games that aren't on their game shelf.
We do, yes.
Now, we are talking about horror games. Now, I maintain there is only one true horror board game.
Yes, I know. Shall I get it?
Yeah, and it's not actually horror themed at all. It's Jenga.
It's Jenga because it's really stressful.
Terrifying. But yes, not only is it really stressful, but it's also really good in an RPG. And this is actually the only RPG thing we'll probably be talking about tonight. But I like to use Jenga in horror RPGs.
Yeah, it's cute.
Particularly, Cthulhu. What I do is basically, if somebody can take a Jenga block from the normal rules of Jenga, but get it up to the top. In the case of Cthulhu, which is a percentile system, I'll give them +5 on their roll. On a D20 system, I'd give them +1. It adds so much suspense.
It does, because we used it in the Oswald Mosley one, didn't we?
Yeah, and it was just really, really awesome. So if you've got Jenga around and you're doing a horror game, seriously get it on the table, because it will really get the suspense going, because it starts off easy and then it gets to the point they really need +5. I let them roll first, so they know, I've got to move 3 blocks to the top. Oh my god, look at it. And then, of course, at some point in the game, especially if it's a one-shot, somebody's just going to knock it over on purpose. So whatever event you tie to the Jenga tower tumbling really gets going. Yeah. I think there is a game that supposedly uses it as its only, as its core mechanic, an RPG game, but I never played it.
If they did, they nicked your idea.
No, I think they came up with it first, to be honest. It's fine.
Right. What game should we start with?
Well, we just talked about Cthulhu, so why not? Let's venture over to the realm of the Yellow King.
I was going to say I've got quite a few Cthulhu games, but yes, okay.
I'm looking specifically at there was a whole lead-in.
Yes.
The realm of the Yellow King.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Carcosa.
Yeah, so this is actually the latest Cthulhu game that we got, and it's basically Carcassonne.
Yes, it's Carcassonne.
But it's Cthulhu, specifically Yellow King and Carcosa themed.
And it's bothered me that we didn't have any kind of Carcassonne game for ages, because there are 2 giants, really, aren't there? You've got your Ticket to Ride. Oh, arguably also Catan, Settlers of Catan.
Oh yeah.
And then you've got Carcassonne, and everyone should have these games, in my view. But yeah, so we find, and I've looked at several Carcassonne sets over the years. I really wanted Big Box 4 for the longest time, but it's so much money. And I refused to spend £90 on a tile game. So, but yeah, Carcosa, I thought was a lovely play on words. The only thing is, I do find the tiles a little confusing. Like, we got confused the first time we played this. And we did.
We did quite a few things wrong, actually. So yeah, oopsie.
Not that I'd played Carcassonne in 10 years.
Well, no, I've never played it at all. But so.
But how spooky is it? That's the real question.
Well, I like the premise of you have cultists that can summon stuff.
Yes, you actually play the cultists in this one, which is nice, because so often, so many Cthulhu games, and you'll see that as we go through our collection.
Yeah, it's like, they're bad, and you have to stop them.
Cultists are bad, and they're trying to open gates, and you've got to close them. And that is the premise of so many games.
Or equivalent, yes.
These completely pointless, flesh-eating things that's like a 3D counter, because you get these two parts to the counter.
Yeah, they are very, very pointless.
They are pointless, but I like them. I like the fact that it's like a fleshy monster. I'm going to try and get this in focus.
Yeah, we haven't got another camera. We should have thought of that. But
well, we do, but it's not.
Well, as in we haven't got it set up, looking down or something like that.
Maybe we should. If we're going to do ball games, maybe I should get that set up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Talking then.
Why don't you talk about Binding of Isaac, because you love that?
Yeah, I will do in a second, but sort of closing up. How spooky is it? I mean, it's Cthulhu themed, so obviously it's going to be spooky. It's got like 2 different ways of ending the game as well, so you can get the most victory points. Hello, sweetie.
I was going to say, sorry, because I started that question, and the way I was going with it was I don't think it's that spooky, because there's no suspense as a player.
Yes, well, I was also kind of getting to something similar as well.
I love you. You totally had that covered.
Yes, I did. So you got 2 different ways of winning, but it's explained fully as to how to do it, and one of them is either the Yellow King is summoned and all shit hits the fan, or you kind of you have the most powerful cultist army, and yeah, there isn't really any suspense at all. You've got your kind of like I have to complete a ley line, or I can complete an island to make stuff happen, but I actually thought that there'd be a bit of tension with that, of like, am I going to complete this bit before she completes this? But actually, no, I didn't get any of that at all.
And
so
you definitely don't get that competition in 2-player Carcassonne.
No. So we need to play this really with more players. But I do like how it's based on Carcosa as opposed to, say, Innsmouth, your usual stuff. It
gets lots of points for Lovecraft originality.
Well, this is not really Lovecraft.
Well, true. Yes. No, the Yellow King
is not. No.
And it was me who raised that the other day, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the premise is more spooky, because I'm personally not really that much of a fan of Innsmouth and the Fish People. I don't find that particularly spooky, but Carcosa, I love that. So, spookiness with lore, but the actual game mechanics, maybe not. However,
this could lose sound sync.
Oh, okay.
So you need to let us know if it does.
Okay. Well, yes, you, not me, but you. Yes. So, Binding of Isaac. I was going to wear a Binding of Isaac t-shirt as well, but I not lost it. I couldn't find it. So this is a Kickstarter card game. As you can see, quite long. There are lots of different cards in a beautiful box. And Binding of Isaac as a whole is really quite dark in a child sort of playful way. A bit like Happy Tree Friends, but less violent. If you will.
I mean,
it's about a young, possibly naked boy called Isaac, who is under the wrath of his extremely fundamentalist Christian mother, who tries to kill him because she thinks that God tells her to do it. So he escapes, and he kind of confronts all his nightmares in the form of like monsters and stuff. It's a really cool little card game. There's lots of different monsters, as you can imagine. I have dropped things. Can you help retrieve them? I forgot the dice were there and stuff. So you get this awesome little bag of coins, which so it's all very, very themed in the game, by the way, the PC game. So yeah, you get your monies, which is very important, of course. You have your characters. They're all biblical named, and they've all got sort of different stuff. So who am I? But it's cool because they've all got their own like bonus things you can do. Some are quite creepy, like Judas and Eve when she turns into this demon thing as well, which is cool. It's a bit like Munchkin, if you ever played that, where you have to kind of turn over a monster pile. You fight the monster you can choose to fight them or not. You can buy stuff. There's lots and lots of items in Binding of Isaac. And in the video game, it's really quite random in what you get, and your character is kind of manipulated based on what items you get, and they literally become part of them. So, for example, one item is the coat hanger, and it kind of becomes embedded in your character's head. So it is quite creepy. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, the main weapon you use is your tears, because you are frightened and scared and sad. So you use tears to kill your enemies with. They can sometimes turn into blood and stuff like that. So yeah, very spooky themed. The object of the game is to collect 4 souls, which are these sort of lost souls, within the kind of the spookiness of your basement.
I quite liked it as a competitive card game.
It is very competitive. Like, you can mess other people up quite badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you mentioned Munchkin earlier because it has a few similarities, but like Munchkin, I find very meh. Whereas, like, if you were to say choose between this and Munchkin, I'd go for this straight away.
Yes.
I wouldn't play Munchkin like out of choice. Whereas this, it's a nice little screw you over game. In terms of its setting, its setting is really disturbed.
Yeah. Eventually, in the video game, you fight your own mother in like almost like a womb setting, like as if you're going back into her. It's yeah. But at the same time, I can show you a couple of the cards. It looks really sort of cartoony.
Okay, we can go to our new emergency.
Oh, I see.
rig
Sorry,
camera.
I thought you got it set up. So I was.
No, I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I see. So, for example, this is a soul of gluttony. There are the 7 deadly sins in this game. Again, lots and lots of biblical references. So you've got sort of some mini bosses that are your 7 deadly sins, like gluttony and wrath and stuff. You've got things like a nickel.
Well, that's just a shopping cart, isn't it? So it's his currency of the game.
Let me just see if I can find a monster instead. Oh, you've got troll bombs as well. So quite a lot of sort of internet references as well in here. These are not very good examples.
You are pulling out all the most irrelevant cards.
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah. Okay, let's see what's in here.
Right, I'll entertain the audience by stripping.
No.
It
is quite warm though, yeah. You've got pills.
I'm not on the camera at the moment. I was taking clothes off.
Okay.
Seriously.
You've got various pills.
It's inventory type stuff.
Kind of...
So you build up your. I've left it on the wrong camera. I'm getting confused now. So you build up your collection of stuff, like.
Here's a monster. Finally.
Oh, finally.
It's not even a particularly strong monster, but
okay.
So you've got this sort of cartoon-like but really creepy.
Yeah, and in a Munchkin-esque style, you kind of have to defeat it and stuff like that. But
yeah, but you've got a bit more choice, so it's not a case of you kick in the door, you must fight it.
I was playing Munchkin.
No,
I mean, there are parallels, but I never felt I was playing Munchkin at all.
Yeah,
and it does work 2-player, whereas Munchkin really doesn't.
No. I think my favourite premise is definitely the different characters, just because there are so many different ways of playing. So you can, for example, with Eve, as I mentioned, you've got this sort of demon thing that comes out of her, which makes her a bit more powerful. You've got
I'm not entirely sure the characters are that well balanced.
They're not. They're not, to be fair.
Anyway,
all right.
Next game.
Moving on. Shall I just pick one? Here's a classic. In 2 versions, sticking with card games. Gloom! You must have this. If you like horror, you've got to get Gloom.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Gloom, though, I mean, like, there is a lot I like about it in terms of mechanics and stuff, which we can talk about in a minute.
Yes.
But it presents itself not as a card game, but as a card narrative game. You're supposed to be telling stories with the cards.
Yes.
And all the games that kind of add this artificial storytelling layer over the top, I mean, it's great if you've got friends who are good at it. Mm-hmm. I've played Gloom with somebody who wasn't good at it, and it really was meh.
No, yeah, I can imagine.
In fact, I asked us if we could stop doing the storytelling and just play it as a game.
Can we put it onto the other camera?
Where it quickly showed itself to be not actually that strong a game if you just play it as the game. So this is a game that is definitely best played with a group of friends and some drinks.
Yeah. You've also got Cthulhu Gloom, if you like Cthulhu, although it is very lore-based, so there are some things in here I didn't even recognise, because I'm not a massive, like, Cthulhu geek or anything.
Well, I was going to talk about that, actually.
Yeah.
'Cause like, if you get the option of the Cthulhu Gloom or Standard Gloom, I would actually suggest Standard Gloom.
Yes.
Because the problem is, if you're going to tell those stories...
Yeah, you need to know what the cards are.
It's really hard to do that when you get a card like... oh, that one I can, actually. Loved a Librarian. Had too many tentacles is maybe something you can work in, but forgot... well, I don't know. I've happened to pick some I could probably work with.
Well, like
here,
the
as
ancient
always
artifacts
happens when you're live.
Type stuff.
How is... I don't know.
But also you get an expansion with not with the standard one, but you can buy an expansion, which is quite cool.
Okay. Went digging in Dunwich.
Yeah.
I went digging in Dunwich. What does that really mean?
I think that means doing research.
Maybe. But, maybe it's grave digging. The problem is, unless everyone at the table knows the stories that this is all based on, you're not going to be... there's too much Cthulhu-specific stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas Gloom, with its genericness, I think works better.
Yes.
Because, even like when we played it around some friend's house once, and even the friend's mother joined us.
Yeah, actually,
and
she
was
did.
telling the stories and stuff.
Yeah. See if you have a good shift, and hello to Chav Hunter and Scoppo.
Hey.
Hello. So for those of you who've not played Gloom, if you don't know what Gloom is, I really like it. It's a great game. You choose your family of miscreants, a bit like the Addams Family. And one thing that is really iconic about this card game is the actual cards themselves and what they look like. You sort of show them a little bit, Bosh.
Let's get the camera up. So
basically, they are, as you can see, really translucent. Apart from the bit in the middle and possibly some text.
Well, that's a character card, isn't it?
It is, yes.
It's actually one of the least translucent cards.
Well, no, they're all the same.
But don't they have... Aren't they more cloudy, those ones?
No,
maybe not.
No. But the point is that you have to make your family as miserable as possible before killing them off. Meanwhile, your opponents, you need to try and make them as happy as possible. So you want them to be more miserable for points, to be lost because you want negative points. And then if you want to get your opponents, then it's all positive points. I'm trying to find where the hell this goes back in. There we go. And also, because they're translucent, it means that you can put sort of points, which I'll put in the thing.
I'll get on the button. Oh, wrong button.
Over the top of each of your family cards that are laid out in front of you. But then you can also put cards over the top of each other and cover them up.
Yes, so they keep stacking and they have different stats that each card covers and so on.
So there's a little bit of strategic placement there of like, is it going to cover up this? Is it going to do that?
Yeah.
No.
And all the maths, I think, if I remember rightly, are all in fives, aren't they? I think it's -5, -10, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, so there's like...
So it does make it pretty simple.
You also... There's cool little things like if you have... there's like certain symbols on some cards, so you can get bonus... or rather negative bonus points if you match that card with another card, or if you have a certain theme going on. So that's quite a nice touch as well. And yeah, it's cool. It can be kind of annoying, as in like competitively, if you're getting really positive from other opponents and the only cards you've got in your hand kill your characters off, for example, it's a pain.
That's the whole point, isn't it? You want to try and troll somebody with positive points and then get them dead before the person can make them unhappy again. But yeah, it's a light game without the storytelling, so it's very situational in terms of when you can play it, because you do want a few friends who are able to do a little bit of narrative as you play the cards. Without that narrative, the game doesn't really stand up.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
I am getting really hot and want to change into a pair of shorts.
Okay.
So
Pass me a game.
there you go. Sticking with card games.
Cthulhu Realms. So, this is from the Hero Realms / Star Realms series of games, and it is Cthulhuized, and I'm struggling to get it out of the box. Now, I quite like the Realms games. Like, I'm a big collector of Star Realms. This is a little bit different. First of all, they give you a hit point card, and I really like what they did originally with Star Realms. If you ever get the chance to play it with their hit points, and they haven't carried that over here. But if I remember rightly, when you play this particular one, you kind of build up you are playing the cultists, aren't you? You're building up your clan of thugs and ghouls and stuff like that. It is a little more complicated than Star Wars. And it's definitely one that whenever we play it, I have to reread the rules. Because everything is icon driven. So they want to be able to use these cards in every language. Which, sure enough, you absolutely can, because it's entirely icons on this card. So the German set will look exactly the same as the English.
Shall we show them the thing?
Yes, let's show them some cards. Whoops. There we go. So here we got Riley. Trying to do it without the okay.
There is a bit of glare, isn't there?
Yeah, it depends on the card as to how bad it is. In this
Hello,
case.
Steve.
So here we've got the King in Yellow, of course, which is famously a play. The Book of Iron and all that kind of stuff. So, there are all these artifacts you can collect. Now, the way Realms games work is everything that you can buy, and you have a shared trade row. And everything you can buy is in one of 4 sets, if you like. And in this case, they're just colour-coded. They're not... are they themed? I think they're slightly themed, yeah.
Yes, so you've got your Arkham...
That's it. It's themed by town, isn't it?
Yeah, which is quite usual for Cthulhu type stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if you were going to get a Realms game to start with, I would say start with Star Realms, simply because it's easier to understand, it's a lot simpler. Whereas I think Cthulhu Realms has that extra layer of complexity. But as I was saying, the point is, you collect in sets. When you get multiple cards of the same set come out in your hand. And I really should have explained that. Oh, yeah.
Right. So this is a deck builder, not a deck collector. Deck collectors are where you have to buy cards.
You mean trading card?
You buy win. Yeah, trading card. This is a deck builder. So everyone's got the same trade row. You buy cards from that trade row to add to your hand. Every time you play, you're dealing out cards from your deck into your hand. And if you have collected cards in your deck of the same set, I'm getting all these words right without stuttering, I think, then you get what are called synergies. So if you play 2 green cards in hand, you'll unlock some synergies. Now, that usually means you get extra powers and things happen on each of your cards. Now, there's good and bad with that, I think, because what can happen in Star Realms is you can get a bit overwhelmed with, have I done this yet? Have I done that yet? Because you can end up with quite a lot of cards being played. That doesn't happen with Cthulhu Realms, but because of I actually find it harder to unlock the synergies in Cthulhu Realms.
Yeah, I found it really difficult. You managed to get a few in the end, but I'm just like, it's hard. And then you get the ones where it's like, you can only play this certain icon if you have something or if you can do this.
Yeah, it's less transparent in how to actually get your strategy together to win with Cthulhu Realms as well. So, as for spooky, is it spooky? I think...
We didn't do Is It Spooky for Gloom, actually.
Gloom is spooky.
Yeah, it's good.
I would say no, not really, because there isn't sort of a narrative. It is a combat game between 2 people playing cards.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's no narrative there, so I don't think it scores high on the spooky meter.
No.
But it is a good game. It's the Realms games have very good gameplay. I think Star Realms kind of has it in its accessibility over Cthulhu Realms.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to play and to develop strategies with Star Realms than it is Cthulhu Realms.
Yes.
But it's a good game and I enjoy it. Next.
Okay, we are...
There's a lot of talk of village attacks in the chat, which I haven't seen. So
Me neither, no. So this is a game I've not played for quite some time.
Oh, yes. Now this is one we got that was missing a component.
Yes, it was. So, Samhain, so sticking with the, pagan sort of theme, this was a little game I picked up at the expo one year. And basically, you are Gauls preparing for invasion from the Romans, and you are trying to get enough stuff together to summon your gods on Samhain to basically vanquish the Romans. So, spooky wise, I would say not really, but I do quite like the theme of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't like, you obviously coming from a Celtic country, you associate Samhain and Halloween as the same thing.
Yes.
I never even realised. I just learnt just now that Samhain is related to Halloween somehow. When you got that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the pagan. Yeah.
Didn't know.
Yes. Yeah. So it's basically you've got like your gods sort of in a row of cards. You've got like little icons. So it's a very basic game. It's not like anything particularly fancy in there.
You see, I would describe that as a board game that's pretending to be a card game.
Or possibly the other way around.
Well, no. It's meant to be a board game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
But instead you get cards to place down as your board. And like it just feels like this... the person who's put this together and the publisher, they've turned it into a product and they've gone, we need to save cost to put this into a lower price bracket than what it was originally designed to be. Because it definitely doesn't feel like when you put cards down on your table and you like, this is your player guard to protect you or your stuff, and it's like small and cheap and just a little bit of card, and then we've got the wooden cubes that you kind of hide behind it. I'm going to leave them in the bag, and then your playing board.
So many.
And I wouldn't rate the art that highly here either. So that's one of the playing boards. You can't really see it from up there, but
no.
That tracks your seasons, if I recall, and something else.
Yes.
This is where you track your score. So this gets placed down, and people put their coloured counters on to track their score. And then these things form the actual board. Now, the art on these is okay. It's the iconography, I think, isn't very good. But this is how you make your playing board. Yeah. And it just kind of feels to me like this was meant to be a board game.
Oh, yeah. I really hope that they find a way to make it as an actual board game, and this is almost like an alpha edition or something. Because I do like the premise. I like my favourite mechanic with it, because I think there are a couple of mechanics in there that are a bit weird and a bit pointless, but I really like how you've got your light and dark sides of these gods that give you certain boons depending on what you choose, but there are certain not prerequisites, but you kind of have to prepare a bit and strategize a bit in order to get
since I've played it. I don't remember
in order to get certain things. So you have to kind of think, okay, I need this. That means that has to be light. So I need to move here, and there's a bit of that and stuff. So it needs to be a board game. Whoever
I think
made
so.
it, Alessandro and Moro Chiaboto. Needs to be a board game, not a card game. Seriously.
Okay, next game.
More Cthulhu-based games. You can see where this is going. We haven't played this one in a while either, but it's a good one. Lovecraft Letter. So I also got this at the expo.
Yeah, and it's such a clever play on words, because of course it is Love Letter.
Yes, yeah.
But they've gone Lovecraft Letter, which just...
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, I mean, we've got a couple of kind of Cthulhu versions of games. I'm saying with
What I really like about this, the box does have really high production values, but what I really love about this is the poker chips.
Yes, yeah.
Because I always love the way poker chips feel in your hand and how they click and stuff. All right, let's get the camera up. And they've used these purely is for tracking the wins, and it just so you get one of these when you win, and they're heavy, solid. They're just nice, and I love doing that with poker chips.
I bet they're loving that right next to the mic.
Sorry, everyone loves that. Now we did. We've sealed these cards.
Well, yeah, because
I think it came with.
I was just about to say they do. Yeah. They come with the box, which is great. You don't buy them separately; they're already there.
Yeah. So that's the back of the cards, and then on the front you get your various roles: Mygo, Brain Crace, Elder Sign, the various different things. And let's get back on the normal camera. And Love Letter is a great party game. It's the kind of game as well that not only is it sort of Eurogamey, but it's also the kind of game you could play with your entire family who aren't gamers.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we could take that round at Christmas and people would play it. Well, people
maybe
could play it. I could see it more with my family than yours.
Yes.
And perhaps though, if I was going to do that with my family who aren't gamers, perhaps I wouldn't get the Lovecraft Letter version though. I'd probably go Love Letter version.
Yeah. But
the Lovecraft Letter, the production values on that are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. But spooky value?
There's a certain amount of tension. There's some uncertainty in Love Letter.
Yeah, because there sometimes you are forced to put down a card that you don't want to put down, which can mess you up.
I mean, it's a simple mechanic. It's elegant, and there's lots of there's treachery and backstabbing. There's lots going for Love Letter as a game. I think it has a small spooky score.
I think it's sort of maybe in the middle, because there's a bit like there's a lot of focus on the artifacts in Cthulhu, which are spooky. They do weird stuff. So I like that. But
I don't think it's with Lovecraft Letter though. I don't think it's so much a case that the narrative it's spooky. It's the gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next.
Another game that we haven't played in a while since
Finally,
Christmas.
Picked this one up. I was waiting for this one.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I love Cauldron Master.
Yeah, Cauldron Master is a great little card game.
I've played this in so long. We ought to sleep this.
Oh yeah, that's a point. Yeah, but it won't fit in the box then, will it?
True.
The problem with so many card games.
Alright, I'm just going to spread some of these out and then switch camera.
Oh, actually, no, we have played this fairly recently.
Did we?
Yeah. But yes, it's a great little game. Essentially, you need to make the best potions possible in your cauldron.
You're missing the other potion brewing game.
What? Oh, well, I wasn't sure if that would fit, because I think...
Witches?
Yeah,
sort
but
of.
I think this is more spooky.
This is definitely more witch related.
It's very spooky.
So yes, you get ingredients. Yeah. Dragon's breath, toadstools, spider venom. There's Eye of Newt and pig's foot, and it's all the classic witchery type spell ingredients.
Yeah. You want to make the best ones that get you the most points, basically. And some ingredients are more valuable than others, so they get you more.
Yeah.
You basically you have a choice of what are the characters to play. I don't
remember that aspect of the gameplay.
Well, because you've got
this is your key part of the gameplay. You've got 2, 3, or 4. What would you call it? Card cauldrons. So
that's right.
You as a player have 3 cauldrons. You've got a 2-card cauldron, a 3-card cauldron, and a 4-card cauldron. So as you're collecting ingredients from the middle, you have to decide which cauldron to put them in. And much like a Realms game, you're all drawing from the same cards in the middle.
Yes.
So you're trying to get the synergies. So if you've got these green ingredients, swamp moss and spider venom and crickets are all green, then each card becomes worth more when there's more of the same colour ingredient in the pot. That combined with a few specials that mix things up a little bit.
Now I remember. These are the ones I was talking about. So every person has a set of 5 cards. You've got your apprentice, your mage, your herbalist, your shaman, and your goddess. They form two things. First, they form initiative. So you choose a card you want, put it down, flip it over, and then the number, the higher, the better. Obviously, means you go first. But also, it tells you which ingredients you can pick up, and they are different depending on which ones you pick. So there's a little bit of like, oh, do I go for all green? There's a bit.
Yeah.
And also, you can only use each of them once until they're all used up.
And the way we play the game, we have a slight house rule on this.
Oh, that's right. We do.
In 2-player at least, we go through twice.
Yes, we go through twice.
So basically, we do 10 rounds and then decide who wins, which actually makes the game, I believe, slightly shorter than normal. But we think it works better because you get that, especially in 2-player, you get that once through initiative each. So it's a very balanced game that way.
Yeah.
And I really love it because it's like this weird combination between Star Realms, Lovecraft Letter, and being a witch who brews potions, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's nice. And then whoever gets the most points at the end from making the potions wins.
Yeah.
Did you say about the amount of space in a cauldron?
Yes, 2, 3, and 4 card ones. So you're trying to complete your cauldrons and get synergies, and then you get all the special ingredients that things like vampire fangs will give you. Is it a bonus for 4 points if there's bat wings or something?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find another special, but the skunk's essence. There we go. So this will give you a bonus 5 points if you get snake venom and toadstools in the same potion. Yeah. So no, it's really cool. I like this one.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Next.
just put everything in the
Yeah,
wrong
it's not
order.
sorted, I'm sorry.
Why you do this to me?
Because we're live on air.
But babe.
I wanted to get on to the next. The OCD of how we store our board games is being challenged by the needs of live television.
Not even OCD. It's just like
Oh, we're totally OCD about
you gotta
packing
put
games
cards
up.
in the right piles and stuff.
Okay, now this is going to be a hard one to review because
Yeah.
I think we played it once. And I don't really remember playing it because it wasn't long after we got back from Expo.
So
And I was exhausted and stuff.
this is Arkham Horror the card game, which has been given raving reviews by many iconic people, including Shut Up and Sit Down. Essentially you are an investigator, very much like the regular Arkham Horror board game, and you have to solve problems and fight monsters and stuff. And we played the first scenario, and I found it very confusing. In some ways, like with the mechanics. I think it was the very first game where I genuinely felt I have no idea how to actually play this game, even with the instructions and stuff.
I do sort of. I'm trying to remember it between this and Eldritch Horror.
We have played Eldritch Horror. We've got it in the pile. Actually, we're gonna look at it. So we know the general premise of how this game should work, but at the same time, I just felt really, really lost. It's like, how do we do things and stuff? So that took a lot of kind of grinding through to work out how to do it and stuff. And I didn't feel very satisfied at the end of the scenario either.
I think the problem is we played this when we got back from Expo,
which didn't help.
And we really should give it another outing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be fair for us to review this game.
No.
Based on our experience of it so far.
That's fair.
But what I will say is that when I was playing it, a lot of it felt quite similar to just Eldritch Horror as a game, and I like Eldritch Horror for that kind of game.
Yep.
This tried to be narrative in a card game, didn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to go for more kind of you read sort of bits out of when you enter a room.
But it was still ultimately find clues, kill.
Yeah. Find clues, kill shit, save the world.
That really, I don't know. It felt contrived Cthulhu. And if you're going to go around closing gates, there are two games I think we should look at in sequence. And one is Eldritch Horror itself, and the other is the one you're holding right now. which is Pandemic.
Cthulhu. Reign of Cthulhu. Yeah, more Cthulhu.
This is a lot of Cthulhu stuff.
We do, but I like Cthulhu. Sorry. This is a fantastic version of Pandemic, and it's really tense. As Becky's mentioned, you go around trying to close gates before stuff comes out, like scary monsters and things like that.
Standard Cthulhu premise.
Yeah.
Mixed with standard Pandemic gameplay.
Yeah. So you've got to
with a few Cthulhu twists.
Yeah, you've got to make sure there's not too many cultists in one place, or else a Shoggoth appears. So bad stuff kind of bleeds around the board, almost like a virus. So pandemic-y type thing. You've got your different investigators you can choose from, and they have nice bonuses. I quite like the insanity bit, but you don't see it very often, like when a character turns insane. But there is a bit of that element of they can kind of turn insane quite quickly if you roll badly on the dice.
But it is ultimately Pandemic, even though it's got some nice Cthulhu touches, and as things are getting worse, different old ones are arising and so on. But it still has the same issues that Pandemic has. Now, I enjoy Pandemic, but at the same time, I recognise Pandemic has a few issues. Specifically, you only have to make a few wrong moves, and then the entire game will be lost.
Yeah.
And it might not even be you as a player that makes the wrong moves. It might be someone else. Or what can happen, because if things are truly random, is you can get a load of the same colour card in a row.
Yep.
And that will mess you up because your hand limit is very small. So you're
that's the point, actually. That's a pain.
Every time you do your actions, at the end of them, you pick up 2 cards. You have a hand limit, I think, of 7 cards, if I remember rightly, for this game. And if you exceed that, you have to start discarding cards. There are so many of each colour, and you win the game by having, I think you have to hold 5 cards of the same colour to close a gate.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, 5. 4 if you're one of the particular characters can do it with 4. I forget which one, Magician perhaps. So you have to have 5 of the right colour card and be at the gate. Meanwhile, you've got to keep your infestations of cultists under control. Yeah. And sometimes that can go wrong. And it might only be that you make one wrong move during the entire game and it goes wrong. That's it, you've lost. Or it might be that you make no wrong moves and you still lose. Or it can sometimes be a little easy. So that's kind of the issue with Pandemic, is that victory is almost out of your hands, but if you've been an experienced player playing the game, then it's definitely out of your hands. So I think the way to play Pandemic, and I'm still interested in doing this, but it would be to play with the same players and do the legacy games.
Okay.
Because of that, although I quite like the occasional play of that, I would be reticent about getting it out to new players.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Because you pretty much know you're going to lose, unless they just want to try Pandemic, and you just kind of okay, look, it plays a bit like this. This is a Cthulhu one, blah blah. Yeah. And I might do that. What I think I would rather do with Pandemic is get one of like the season 1, season 2 legacy games, and then just play that with you, because I think that is a better way to play Pandemic than to say, oh look, we've got some friends over, let's get a board game out, let's do Pandemic, because then you know you're going to lose. And then that's just not satisfying for the group.
Yes. But meanwhile, this is kind of like, for me, I found this to be Pandemic Cthulhu ramped up.
Because it's exactly the same premise.
Yeah, you've got a big map where you have to stop shit from happening. But you're also an investigator, and it's the world, and you've got different cities and places where you can get clues, but then you've also got remote places where you can go on exhibitions if you are strong enough, which normally is a bit risky to do that, like the pyramids or the heart of Africa and stuff like that. You have iconic places like Arkham as well where you can go to, And depending on which place you visit, you pick up various cards that can either lead to clues. You've got little scenarios in there. You've got your stats that you have to keep an eye on, so your health and your sanity, and especially with things like gates and not encounters, but the next sort of phase happening. Things can start coming up out of the ground like horrible monsters, and suddenly you gotta think, oh god, do I go in and risk fighting them or not? What do I do?
Yeah. What I like about Eldritch Horror is it's got that same kind of light narrative that you get in Arkham Horror, in the sense that there's a narrative there and it might not be perfectly telling your story, because at the end of the day this is a random encounter card, and it's themed to its location, and that determines which deck you draw from, and so on, and that's how, so it's not following so much your story as the encounter is to do with the location. And it, in terms of a story, it's not a great story, but it's got those little snippets of narrative juice that just make it more interesting than just the game itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of replay value in the narrative, so again, depending on where you go, you turn your card over, you've got 3 different sort of choices, again, depending on how you picked it up and stuff, so there's that. And there's a lot of...
It feels a little bit like Pandemic in some senses as well. It's the same kind of premise in that you've got to work together as a team and travel the world to solve the problems.
And there's also closing gates.
Of course.
As part of it. You get a choice of which monster or which big bad you're going to be fighting against.
Yeah, so we've got the base game. I think you get like 3 different core scenarios, isn't it? Is it 3?
I think there's 5 actually.
Might be 5. Okay.
But you've got sort of medium to very hard, and we haven't done the very hard yet. But you've got things like the Shub-Niggurath in there. I think Cthulhu, obviously. I think Yog-Sothoth possibly, and a couple of others. So, your big beasties,
and it's all kind of the theme follows all the way through, and it's just like, to me, instead of Pandemic Legacy, sorry, not Pandemic Legacy, Cthulhu Pandemic. I think this is the better version, even though Cthulhu Pandemic does come with miniatures. Which is a win.
Yeah, it does.
Alright, so you get Investigator miniatures with Cthulhu Pandemic. We should have mentioned this at the time, that are like 25mm scale, 25 to 28mm. You get some Shoggoth demons that are similarly sized, certainly not similarly scaled. And then you get what I like to call the KKK halflings.
Yes.
Because they're basically a cultist robe type figure, but they're very small. So one day I will paint them up and I will put them in a D&D game as the KKK halflings.
Yeah. Whereas in this you have just kind of little stand-up token things. Yeah, standees. But spookiness.
It does have a hell of a lot of card decks though, and that I do remember when we first got it was a bit overwhelming and confusing. What's this deck called again? Because there are so many card decks, and it does need a bit of table space.
And some of them as well, there's like a lot of setup as well, so you're not going to be using all the cards in the game, so it's not just a case of, okay, that pile there, that pile. You've got to kind of look through, you've got to, okay, take that out, you've got to do that. You've got to actually build up the clue, like, chapter deck as well. So you got to get, okay, there's a blue card, there's a green card,
there is a little bit set up. It is a... Well,
it's a bit meaty.
Yeah, but it's not what I describe as an epic game. Like, we have several what we call epic games where they are all day plays. It's like, hey babe, do you fancy playing this game at the weekend?
It's definitely a medium.
It's not there,
length.
but it is. Yes, it's a medium length.
It's a good couple of hours, if possibly more. So in the same sort of realm as Terraforming Mars.
And I think the reason we've never really got Arkham Horror back out is because we've got this, and I'd rather play this.
Yeah.
But because this is a long play, we actually don't get it out that often.
Yeah. But there we go. Right, we are building up to the big ones, but maybe we should have a look at the chat, because there's been lots of questions that we've kind of been ignoring.
Yeah, but one of them was about this next one on top of the list.
Yes, it was.
It's the top of the pile.
Yes, it was.
Chat. let's talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The
Buffy.
new game. I had the original Buffy game, and I threw it away when I moved house.
Hello, Sue.
Which I'm gutted about. Hello, Sue.
Played it with 8 people once. Yes, I bet. That's a fair point, actually. Eldritch Horror, you can play with up to 8 people.
Yes, now that's definitely going to slow things down.
Yeah, wow, seriously.
Now, there's going to be some mixed opinions here.
Yes.
Because if you are not a fan of the Buffy TV series from yonks and yonks ago,
I never watched it.
I think it's fair to say you probably won't like this game. I think that would be a fair assessment. Because so much of this game is a reference to the Buffy show.
Yeah.
Everything here.
Yeah. In the same vein as the Firefly board game.
Yeah,
Very
no, because
themed.
Firefly I think you can enjoy without really being into the series or knowing much about it. Whereas I think unless you were into Buffy, you are not gonna. It's just like, what the hell? It is a light game.
It's really
just wondering
quite
what to really show to kind of get the meat of it. Artwork, I have to say, is very nice.
That's true, actually. Yeah, they did a good job with the art and stuff.
Okay, so let's just show the board, and I think Art might give an explanation of what's really meant by this. So, locations on this board. You got some standard kind of vampire-esque ones. We've got the catacombs. That could be any vampire type thing.
Yeah.
Sunnydale Cemetery. Okay, it's a cemetery. That doesn't feel particularly Buffy-esque. If you've not watched Buffy, you're not going to be excluded from that. Glorificus's mansion.
Yeah, who's Glorificus?
Right? The Summers residence.
Don't know who they are.
Another cemetery. Okay, whatever. Shadow Valley Vineyards. Actually, I don't even remember that from I've watched every Buffy episode
That's
several
an
times.
unfortunate name for some vineyards.
UC Sunnydale. Right?
It's a school, is it?
Initiative Base.
Yeah.
Right? If you've not seen Buffy, that is not going to make any sense to you.
I've not
at
seen
all.
Buffy. It came out when I was like 5.
Angelicus's mansion, Sunnydale High, which apparently is different to UC. Oh yes, that's the university, of course.
Oh right, yeah.
And the Hellmouth. So yeah, I mean, that's half of that makes no sense to somebody who hasn't seen Buffy. The gameplay itself, though,
It's okay.
It's a challenging game for the heroes.
Yeah, it is actually.
And
You've got to kind of buff yourself up. Get
literally
it?
where the term comes from.
What? Seriously?
Buffing comes from Buffy.
What? No.
You need to understand that Buffy the Vampire Slayer defined several generations
Oh my
of
God.
people.
This is how little I know about the series. But
The term buffing was related to the fact that every week Buffy would go out, she'd lose to a monster, she'd go to a library, do a bit of research with her friends, learn about it, and go back buffed.
oh my God.
With knowledge. But yeah, I mean, it's so Ronnie's saying, I love the Buffy game, I must admit, and have played with people who have never watched the show and they were fine with it. So I my feeling is, if you haven't seen it, you're going to struggle because all of these references are so Buffy. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But
Well, don't get me wrong, I could play the game and I got the mechanics, but yeah, there were lots of references. I had no idea what they meant. They went straight over my head. So
what I struggled with was the cardboard counters for characters.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got standees and stuff, but then you got this. Vampires are a counter, townies are a counter, and they're going to stake the other side.
Yeah.
It's as a game, it's okay. It's okay, but I don't love it.
Sorry, Ronnie.
Sorry.
We know how much Ronnie
and I
loves this
Buffy.
game.
Well, specifically, I loved Willow, but it's a nice game, but it kind of almost falls into the same category the same problem I had with the original Buffy game, and that is Eurogamers are going to want a game that's a little bit more Eurogamey. So when I'm with my board gaming friends, they're going to want to play those Eurogamey games. I haven't said Jason. Buff Up was a polishing silver copper object, nothing to do with Buffy the Becky teasing. Not true. Not true. Not true. Not true.
But it is.
Wrong.
It's buff. That's what. Mean. You are such a troll tonight.
So, the problem I had, so gamers not interested, and then family not interested because there's usually only one Buffy fan in the house.
Yes.
So it's a hard game to get to the table, and that's why I ended up throwing away the original Buffy game. Now, should we do the other one first, or should we do them side by side? Actually,
Yeah,
I think side by
also,
side.
where's your bit?
I left it downstairs. I didn't think it was relevant.
But it is.
You can mention it. They've heard about it before.
Yeah, but seriously, it's so good. The final horror game that we have, the very first non-conventional board game I played, Betrayal at House on the Motherfucking Hill.
We have two versions of it here.
Yes, we do.
We have the original, and we have the
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate version.
Yeah. So, you need to have this game if you are remotely interested in horror. There are some things that are flawed about it. It's not a perfect game, but it is damn good. And it's fun. And you don't have to be a super into board game thing to do it. I know Becky's a little bit kind of a maybe whatever asterisk, but I really liked the premise playing it with random people I didn't know at university, which is how I got into it. So you, I mean, okay, the title is a bit weird, like grammatically, I don't really get it, but basically you are random American trash type characters, like the big buff guy with the torch, or the vicar, or the little girl and stuff like that.
Standard horror movie tropes.
Yeah, standard horror movie tropes, and you are exploring a mansion. This mansion is made up of tiles. It's not a board, it's actual tiles for each room, and that's where the replay value comes in that it's very, very randomized, especially if you get the expansion.
And makes no sense as a house.
No.
The house you will build during play will not in any way represent a house.
Not really, but to be honest, there are plenty of rooms that are not very house-y. And
it makes far more sense for the game to be themed like a dungeon.
Yeah, kind of.
Like old school style dungeon.
Yeah, but like for example, in my old group up in York, we would always try and build rooms around the front door. That was our joke thing to do that, because you can, if you do it sort of carefully enough. And as you explore rooms, you draw cards, and you roll the omen dice with the haunt. Now, the haunt is a great idea because it means you go from exploring, just finding stuff, to there's a betrayer in the room type thing. And there's a lot of different choices and outcomes. But the big problem with it is sometimes it happens way too quickly, and other times it takes forever.
It depends on player count. So if you've got 6 heroes in the party, you will quite often find the haunt triggers on the first, or at least first turn, or very early.
Yeah.
Right, and that is because the mechanic for the haunt is empirically terrible. However, they fixed it in the Baldur's Gate version.
Yeah, so
and I would suggest always using this mechanic. Only problem is, off the top of my head, I can't remember it.
Yeah, basically, there was a little bit of changing hands in that this, I believe, was originally... I can't remember. Oh, it is still Avalon Hill, but yeah, so this is second edition. So this is the old one. An expansion came out for Betrayal, which I was super excited about, called Widow's Walk, which gives you more rooms. It gives you this thing about the scenario Widow's Walk, which I've still not played yet, because you have to complete certain scenarios first before you can do this.
Right. Now, the mechanic, this is really important.
Yes.
So, in this one,
Yep.
you roll, I think, is it 6 dice?
Yes.
Right? And if you get...
If you
7?
no, if your roll, no, if you have more omen cards on the table than what you roll, then that triggers the haunt.
Okay, and what you need to know is these are all D3 minus 1, so they basically go 0 to 2. It is possible to roll nothing.
Yes.
You'll probably discover a few omens a turn, and with 6 dice, you will. It's easy enough and it's common enough that you can roll 0, 1, or 2 in that first turn.
Well, there's
the
more
system
than 6
here
dice.
is better because
It's 8 dice.
Yes, but you roll 6 for the.
Oh
omen,
yes, of course.
right,
Sorry.
for triggering the haunt.
Yeah.
The system here is you take the number of dice equal to the number of omens you've discovered, and you need to get 6 or more. And what you'll notice is, like, that becomes much. You need to have discovered at least 3, probably 4 omens before the haunt triggers.
Yeah.
So take that mechanic and use it in that version of the game, if you will. Like that mechanic for me is the one I would always use now.
Yeah.
Because it fixes a broken mechanic.
Yeah, it's good. And there is another expansion for the regular version, which is called Betrayal at Hazen Hill Origins, which has been out for a couple of years and looks pretty cool. Hint, hint. Birthday.
Yes, I know. Right. Now, good things about Betrayal at the House on the Hill. Narrative, cool. You each everyone. So when the haunt happens, you each get a different book. The person who is the betrayer in your group gets to read one book, and the rest of the team get to read another book.
Yeah.
And then some gameplay mechanic happens, and usually it's horribly unbalanced because what they don't know when they write these stories is who's the most powerful characters at the table, or is that even relevant to the haunt? Crazy things can happen, and it's very, very random.
Yeah.
The particular story you get is based on what room you're in and what
omen
you found when the haunt triggers.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot, but there is a chance you'll get the same one.
There's quite a lot of occasions, especially when you're the betrayer, where because of the story, say, I don't know, you're actually a clone, or you're actually going to turn into a cat or something, you lose a lot of your items. So it's like you kind of got all psyched up because, oh yes, I've got this revolver and I've got a dog and stuff like that. No, actually, they're all gone.
Becomes irrelevant from a narrative point of view, yeah.
I don't mind in some occasions, but it happens quite a lot, which is annoying.
I like about this version, though, the Baldur's Gate version, is, first of all, the map makes some sense. You're building a town now.
Yeah.
You've got, it's not a weirdly misshapen house.
Yeah. You've got, like, a sort of a shop bit. You've got tavern.
Streets, you've got catacombs, and what's the other thing? It's,
tavern.
Building.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Building, street, and catacomb.
Yeah.
And so it makes a lot more sense. Also, I think the art is actually prettier in this one. On the tiles.
It is a bit. It's slightly different.
And of course, you get some painted miniatures, badly painted, of course. But all Betrayal games come with painted miniatures, so you get at least a few heroes to use. In your D&D games. I think it's like it's kind of the better standalone game. Of course, the disadvantage is the expansions don't work with it at all. But I think it's like they've taken the chance to fix the Omen mechanic, which I would now port back. As I say, it's just that little bit more refined than the original. So I think it's kind of better, but no expansions.
No, and also not everybody likes.
Haunted House is better.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I remember when it first came out, Baldur's Gate, and as in Betrayal Baldur's Gate, and I'm thinking, well, out of all the themes they could have picked, why that one?
Well, it's D&D tie-in, isn't it?
Yeah, but they could have gone for something like Ravenloft.
Yeah, I think Ravenloft would have probably made more sense.
Yeah,
actually,
but they didn't. So I did find it a bit weird, but I definitely think.
I know
the
why.
Mechanics.
I don't think Ravenloft had come out at the time they released that, had it? Whereas everything was Sword Coast, so like everything D&D at the time that was released was Sword Coast.
Actually, no, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, But yeah, I definitely think the mechanics are more refined in Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, but the theme, you've got to go for the kooky horror tropes.
Haunted house, definitely.
Because yeah, I mean, seriously.
So, spooky value, high.
Absolutely. Super high.
My big issue with it, though, is that the game is utterly random.
Yeah, I know you don't really like that.
Like, there's nothing you can do to determine if you win until you're kind of waiting for the haunt to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it triggers, you're just hoping that you're powerful enough to survive by then.
Yeah. Excuse me. And yeah, there, as you said, there are quite a lot of scenarios that are unbalanced. There was one, the first one I did, I was a betrayer. I was a vampire. But the problem was that we uncovered all the rooms that had windows and outside bits, so I was already at a huge disadvantage. And in the end, they kind of cornered me, and it got light, and I died. Whereas in other cases, the betrayer is like super powerful because they have all these monsters and stuff, and maybe the others aren't that well equipped. And there was that bit with the locked room where you got locked in there. I think it was you or somebody got locked in there for many turns, which was a problem. So
yeah.
There was all that.
Just to answer Ronnie's statement there, I was talking about the 5th edition.
Yeah, 5th edition Ravenloft.
They did a adventure path thing.
Yes, yeah.
For Ravenloft,
yeah.
But I think it came out after that board game.
But Ronnie's also said about Dead of Winter, which
I haven't had the chance to play.
No,
that yet.
but he says that it was far more intense as a horror co-op with a traitor mechanic. So I'm tempted to look into that. Where is it going with this? I'm not sure.
You didn't get Quacks of Quidlingburg out, and I think that counts as horror.
I mean, it's funny because I see that as like it's a very it's very light. Well, it's funny.
The thing is, right? It's not technically horror. I know it's not, right? Because really, the theme is a potion brewing contest.
Yes,
and it
exactly.
Could be wizards or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still potion brewing, and I think we should cover it. And I think I will go and get it.
Okay.
Because I'll have a little break at the same time. Mm-hmm. Why don't you catch up and chat?
All of the chat. Thank you so much.
There's only like hour and a half.
Yeah, cool. Right. Thank you. Can I have some water as well, please, babe?
And I'll bring water back. See you soon, guys.
Okay, so where are we? Well, so hello to everybody who we've been ignoring, first of all. Let's pick out a few. So hello, Steve. I know you've been I've seen people come into the chat. All right, let's go from here. So, Gloom. Spot inscription of Gloom. Only fun if everyone makes some level of effort to storytell. We mostly settle for silly stuff and callbacks. That sounds very my job, callbacks. Though, which is more accessible to non-RPGs, yeah. So, when I first played it again, it was in York. There were people who were non-role players, but they could still do it. Like, you could conjure up a story, and that's really nice. It's a storytelling thing, and it harkens back to, way back when people would just sit around with a drink of something, and they would have storytelling sessions. So, really cool. Gloom is tragic when you play. Yeah, it is tragic. I love the kind of themes of like, oh yeah, this can happen, that can happen. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Series of Unfortunate Events, but more horror based. But it has that kind of very gloomy, very negative of, oh, this terrible thing happened to this person, and did they really deserve it? I have not played Village Tax, and neither has Becky. But yeah, interesting miniatures. I will look into that. Possibly for a Christmas present, we'll see. Yes, happy Old Hallows. Happy Hopchane. Yes, we are good. Light at the end of the tunnel with the Com+2 prizes. If you go back to the beginning, then you'll hear all about that. But we're doing good. No, we have not been to Badminton Cafe on Great Dover Street, London. We've not really been to any cafes of that nature in London. We don't tend to go to London that often because for us it's actually quite difficult to get in. And when we do, we normally do things like go to Camden or go to a gig or something like that. We do have... Well, I've recently discovered another FLGS. There was a games day, but unfortunately we couldn't make it in the end last week. But I think they want to do like a couple a year or 3 a year or something like that. So, yeah, that's cool at least. The real Ghostbusters inform my Sam Hain worldview. I have not actually ever seen Ghostbusters. Moving on. £20 as well. Because it was dented. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's probably a bit more expensive then.
Coming through.
Would you mind taking over the chat as I need to take a leak?
Right. Okay, where are we up to?
Well, I'm just scrolling through. Village Attacks apparently has some good minis.
Who?
Village Attacks has some good minis.
Ah. Well, this is the board game that I haven't played at all, so I know nothing about it. Will the Buffy board game be getting a review? Yes, we did. No, played the card game of Arkham Horror, played the board game a couple of times and enjoyed it. We didn't mention that, yes, so we don't have the Arkham Horror board game, but it was the precursor to the Eldritch Horror game. That is one of our recommendations from this review. So you must remember this, it's FFG. They know how to take a game and make it a tad more complex than needed, and a rulebook that is a tad more ambiguous than is helpful. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I mean, they're kind of dominated. They do have high production values on their games, though, which I just... Oh, and you're saying the same thing. I do love the production values of FFG products. Yeah, absolutely. We answered Sue's one earlier. So Nathan H., I have to admit that even though I really enjoy these gaming reviews, I mostly join these chats because Becky and Jason are awesome and relaxing to hang out with while I draw maps or do D&D prep. Yay! What else?
I did read that earlier, so thank you, Nathan. That's really sweet of you. Yeah, you're horrible. You played on my gullible country bumpkinness.
Alright, Ronnie says, have played Betrayal and did enjoy it, but found Dead of Winter far more intense.
I'm wanting to look into Dead of Winter, actually.
Response to that. So, Susan, I should drop round with Subterra and don't turn your back sometime. We do need to arrange a new board game night, Sue. We do,
seriously.
And get, Angela around and mine and stuff.
Yes.
You haven't played in ages. Right.
I did play Subterra though at that local games day thing at the pub. I can't remember if it was with you, Sue, or somebody else. And yeah, I did quite like that, but I think I got a bad experience because I drew an area of the cavern, fell down it, and was stuck down there for the rest of the game, basically.
Right. I have no idea what's being discussed here.
Subterra is where you're kind of trying to navigate through these caves, and there are monsters and stuff.
Okay.
But there's a lot of kind of survival
like a miniature
things.
dungeon type thing, or?
Well, it's kind of like Betrayal, but smaller.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, I got stuck in this rut, and nobody could get me out, and it was kind of rubbish. But yeah, I think it was bad experience, bad luck, really.
And that's kind of there are these two lines of thinking with board games, and I'm not going to be the first to say anything revolutionary here, but you get your Ameritrash, your high luck, heavily themed games. Mm-hmm. And then you get your Euro games, which are your very rules-driven, very high gameplay-oriented games. And, I love the games that manage to get both of those on point. And that is the perfect way to...
Yeah, well, I wanted to double-check Dead of Winter, because I couldn't remember if it was definitely the game I was thinking of. Because there are a couple of cool sort of wintry zombie games, but I know that you're itching to look at this.
Yes!
Well, because you had no idea what this is until I was like, we must buy this because Shut Up and Sit Down have said how amazing it is, and it looks amazing.
Right. It is one of my favourites, and we got the expansion as well, the Herb Witches. This is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yes!
Now, this game
I
just...
did it sideways or something.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry.
This game is just awesome because... to start with, it does have an actual keyboard, sort of. Don't worry about that. It's not important.
You have your
You
cauldron.
get a potion pot. Cauldron pot
A
thingy.
potion pot. It's a cauldron.
Yes.
You get
your potion.
You get your table because you've got two sides. So you've got this side, which is I guess the easier, less complex side, and then you've got this, which has sort of test tubes.
That's
and
the
stuff.
one you actually play. The other one's for your first go.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Right. We have bags and bags and bags of these spell components or potion components. They are little cardboard tokens, and the thing is, when you buy these to use them, you put them into a black bag.
Mm-hmm.
You are not allowed to look in your black bag at any point. At the start of each round, you shake it up and you mix all your components, and then you start drawing them out of the bag, not knowing what you're going to get.
And you place them around your cauldron, and there is an interesting balance here because you want to try and get around the cauldron as much as you can in order to get more things and more points to spend and stuff. But you also have some cherry bombs mixed in with your ingredients. And
Villainous, terrible ingredients you don't want.
You don't want to be drawing these, because if you draw too many, your potion will explode.
Yeah, it goes kaboom. And when it explodes, you are then left with the choice of, do I get the victory points from this round, or do I get the money to buy more components?
Yeah. But also you then can't draw any more.
You also don't get the bonus for winning if you happen to get furthest round.
Yeah.
It's the person who gets furthest round the potion that wins. That's your mechanic. That is it. When do I stop drawing tiles? But, oh my god, because you know what you've got in there, at least at the start. And so you go, I know I've got another. There's only one of these 6 tiles can make me blow up. Oh my god! It's awesome.
Red Dice Diaries! Nice to
hey.
see you!
So
Hope things are well.
This, yes, certainly it's low on the spooky meter, although it does have some tension. But it is probably the most fun game
It is
in this
very
entire
fun.
collection.
But one thing I've noticed is I think we do something slightly wrong or slightly house ruly, because I think when you play your sort of, I'm not talking about the final round, but your main rounds, I'm sure that people are supposed to draw one at a time going round, whereas we just kind of do it simultaneously.
You're supposed to all do it you do it at the same time.
That's the last round.
But it's in sync.
No. The last round is that, so
Right.
everyone pulls out at the same time. But I'm sure in the regular rounds, okay, that person draws, then that person, that person,
No, that would take too long. No, you just go through your. We just do it as we go through our potions.
Yeah,
as quick as
we
possible.
just sort of do
But
it.
we allow people to sort of wait and see how far others have got and stuff, and oh my god, it's intense. I love this game. Now the expansion is, if you're into the game,
Then
you definitely.
Yeah.
But if I was going to introduce new people to the game,
Then no.
I would put the expansion to the side and say play the base game.
Yeah.
And then once they've got that, when they've played a few times, the next time you play it, get this out. Of course, any board gamer knows the odds of getting a game out twice is quite hard. So that's kind of, it does add more stuff, and when you're taking a new game in, it's too much.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an addition.
Yeah.
It's additional rules and stuff.
There's a couple of little things you haven't mentioned. One is in the base game as well. You get a couple of little bits that can save you or sort of help you as well.
Yeah.
And also the bags make your hand really sweaty. Somebody said this in the sort of local board game group on Facebook of like, oh yeah, it makes my hand really sweaty. I'm like, thank God it's not just me. After you've been putting your hand in and out of these black,
because it's so tense,
non-breathable bags, and you're tense, and you're thinking, oh my God, do I draw again or do I play it safe? Yeah. So maybe take some wet wipes with you.
But yeah, no, I think that is I think that is the most just childishly fun game.
It's not childish.
It's not childish, no, but it is just fun in a.
It's
just
kind
fun
of hard to
for the whole family.
explain how fun it is, but we introduced it to your friend Ormba when she was over after the expo.
Oh yeah, we did, yeah.
And they
loved it,
Ormba and Mario, like, they got so hooked and they never heard of it and
Monique.
never really played anything like it.
Monique, not Mario.
Oh, sorry, Monique.
Marique.
Dutch. I can't say Dutch. Marique. Hello, kitty.
So, but yes, Sue, we need to, or it'll be a couple of weeks.
Thieves. I've been wanting to play Thieves.
Out for that.
Yes.
Right. I've not heard of Thieves. But then again, I want to play Panamax, and that's about moving barges down the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
It's on my list, but it's not a two-player game, so I haven't bought it.
And it's not horror either.
Totally not in theme for tonight's theme.
No.
So we've got through all of the games.
Yes.
That have any kind of horror bent at all. There's quite a big pile down there. I keep kind of looking down at it. There's a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's 2 rooms we've made a mess now. We will get our games room back one day. So, at this point, I think it's very important that we do actually just acknowledge how awesome some people are.
Yes.
Just very quickly, because I like to do this both near the start and near the end of the videos. And I just want to say, Russell Higgins, I love you. Jolly Mangina, I love you. Mark Frelfall.
Hold on a second. Is saying love really necessary here?
Sorry, Mark. You're not loved. I've been told off.
No, it's platonic love.
Brandon Fishwick, Dave Poirier, AJ, Fuke Enterprises, Nate Hanshan, Philip Bate, Elizabeth Chipreditcall, and David Gaskin. That is a lot quicker just reading the names out.
Then sort of staring sincerely up at the camera and going, I love you. But no, it's all good. I'm very comfortable with platonic love and stuff like that.
Right, so what games are we going to get next?
Well, that's the thing. I had a quick look at Dead of Winter whilst you were drooling over Quacks, and it is the game I thought it was. It does look pretty good, but you are kind of in a wintry zombie apocalypse, so it's more kind of outside, and you're trying to fight for survival, and it does look cool. There is a what is it? Not Mansions of Madness, but the other Mountains of Madness.
Oh,
which looks really good, but
Mansions of Madness was on your wish list for a long time.
Well, both of them are. Mansions of Madness is the big Betrayal 2.0 sort of thing with sort of Cthulhu style, which looks great. Mountains of Madness looks great, but it's not for 2 players. It's like,
This is always the challenge I think with board games, because sometimes there are some great games like Cthulhu Lovecraft Letter and trying to I can't actually see past your arm, but there's some great games we've gone through tonight, but games that are great 2-player often aren't the same ones that are great with more players. Like I freely admit it, my favourite game of all is Twilight Imperium.
Yes,
but it's not a game we can play 2-player.
No.
Just wouldn't work at all. And but then there are some games like I quite like War of the Ring. Only really plays 2-player.
Yeah.
We sometimes play Star Wars Rebellion at the weekend.
And that's again, 2-player.
Oh, it says on the box 2 to 4.
Rubbish. Bullshit. It is definitely for 2 players.
Definitely. There are two sides.
I would never get, more than 2 people to play. I think that would be quite mean.
But I do love those sort of big games that we can just say, right, this weekend, this Saturday, we're going to play this on this day. And those are great days where we just play a board game all day together. And I love those kind of games.
Yes. If you're a couple, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, well, no, all couples should play board games. Any couple that doesn't board game, what do they do when they get home? Watch telly. Ugh. Do you imagine it? Like, oh, it's Tuesday, it's EastEnders.
Yeah, well. Sorry to anybody who likes EastEnders.
Nobody likes it. Even people who watch EastEnders don't like it. It's just arguing for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Ronnie has indeed got us some games that are deliberately 2-player
awesome.
For Christmas, so thank you very much. We don't know what they are. We haven't looked, promise. But yeah, I think we're getting to the stage where we're starting to ramble. It's getting to that time of the night.
You're starting to ramble. I'm completely in composure. So, Sue Savage says, Eldritch Horror works with 2 players. Sometimes you can even finish the game in under 4 hours. You know, that's true. That is one of those games that it gets longer the more people you add, doesn't it? That's the other problem. Sometimes there are games that are quite good medium games. You think, this needs a 3 or 4 player. And then you add that player, and all of a sudden it's an all-day epic. And you're like, this game isn't enough to be an epic.
Especially if they're quite new, so that kind of takes longer. I think Terraforming Mars is one of those examples, because we play it quite quick. Because we know the rules very well, we plan ahead well, we know exactly what we're going to be doing.
We do play it that quick, though. Like,
well,
there are several
overall.
times where we've left the doing the last couple of turns until the next day.
True, but I don't mean overall. I'm talking more each turn that we do is quite quick, because again we know what the cards do. We know what we're able to do. We don't have to think.
It's a classic example of a great 2-player game.
Yep.
That looks like it wants more players, but the moment you add them, it grinds to a halt. It really does. And the other problem with Terraforming Mars, I mean, we've gone out and we've bought every expansion. But if I wanted to introduce that game to someone, I know I've got to go through that massive deck of cards that's about that high.
Yeah, seriously, it's massive.
And remove most of those cards. But based on tiny little icons that are in different places for each expansion. And it's like, because I just need to get rid of them.
Yeah. We do have that new expansion on the way, actually. It's going to be out very, very soon.
Okay, cool. Another expansion for Terraforming Mars. Yeah. Is that where they've finally done a decent player board?
Yes. I am so happy they've done this. Seriously.
So, for those who don't know, so Terraforming Mars is a great game with terrible components.
Yeah.
So, one of its weaknesses is your player board is a flimsy bit of paper.
It's not even cardboard. It's not, though.
It's not cardboard. It's
kind of in the middle.
Heavy paper.
Yeah.
Heavy paper. Yeah. So not quite card.
No.
And you put these cubes, tiny small cubes that are hard to pick up and hold, and you have to position them on this bit of paper in the right spot, and it will get knocked.
It doesn't matter how still you are, because I can sit still very, very well, but you will knock them. Even by, like, I don't know, putting a coffee cup on the table may cause them to be knocked. They slide so much. There's no friction. So what they've done is they've actually made reinforced, like, cardboard mats, kind of like the ones you see inside, where they've got grooves so they actually fit in and stay there. And it's like, hooray!
But I still think the Scythe player boards, to me, that is by far the best player board of any game, to the extent it warrants me singing their merits when we're not even talking about Scythe.
Yeah, however, I was going to ask you about Scythe with the whole 2-player, 3-player, 4-player grind to a halt, because I think it does it a bit better.
Scythe is actually a very fast playing game.
Yeah.
So one of the problems with Terraforming Mars, it's one of these games where you do 2 moves, then somebody else does 2 moves, and then comes back around, and then you do 2 more moves. And the thing is, whilst that kind of initiative play can have an influence on the board, the reality is with Terraforming Mars, if you just did your whole turn, the entire generation, they call it, where you go around it, you just do your whole thing, it was not likely to really impact. It doesn't matter if it impacts anyone else. It wouldn't matter. If you just moved that first player token around each generation, instead of every 2 actions, it wouldn't matter.
The only time it would cause a problem is maybe sort of halfway to the end of the game, when you're placing things like greenery in cities.
Well, if you're following the actual rules where you have to place your tiles adjacent to your own, then it makes no difference at all. If you play it where you allow your tiles to be placed anywhere, then yes, there is. You can screw people over and stuff with tile placement, but if you're following the letter of the rules, then even that you can't do. So you may as well. And the problem when you do those 2 actions, then wait for it to come back round in the same turn, you kind of have to remember what you've done and what you haven't.
The
really more players you add, the longer it takes to remind yourself what it was you were trying to do.
It annoys me where I think, okay, right, I'm going to kind of do this, and I get an idea, and then I forget bits of it, and then that means I stumble because you kind of cut through and
whereas what is the problem when a lot of the actions, almost all of the actions I'm taking, are purely on my own stuff, and the actions which are on the board, because of the adjacent tile placement rules, they're not likely to impact you in any way whatsoever. So the only thing you're really fighting over is who's the first person to get the bonuses on. So there's an oxygen track as you get more oxygen into Mars. One of those squares on the track has a bonus heat, is it?
Yeah.
And then on heat you can get a few bonus water tiles.
Yeah, water. Yeah.
2 of them, I think.
Well, more heat and then a water when it gets to 0.
So and then if you've got the Venus Next expansion, I think there's a terraforming rating bonus. Anyway,
and a card and stuff.
One of the spaces you go through has a bonus, and that's really all you're fighting over with initiative. But frankly, it wouldn't matter if you had a different initiative system, like you do your move first, then I'll do all of mine. And to be honest, I might even say, I think I
could try it.
I think what I'm saying is, should we try that next time we play?
I think so.
Because I think it'll be even faster.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely a game. When you're doing that, when you've got a lot of people, and some people do not remember their strategies, action to action, and they have to kind of recalculate, and that kind of player in Terraforming Mars is gonna just instantly, that game will take 4 hours or more.
Yes. Ronnie says, Minor to Scythe is also recommended for those who want to learn the Scythe mechanics but are put off by the main game.
What could put you off the main game?
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
It's a great game. Although, I have to say, like everything about Scythe is it's great. Like the production quality on the materials is great. The theming's great.
Mechanics are amazing.
Yeah, great mechanics. It's a wonderful Euro game. It kind of pretends to be a war game, but isn't.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Because it's not really about board control and that kind of thing. So, it's an amazing game. The thing is, what it isn't the most fun game. And I think that's why we often go for Terraforming Mars ahead of Scythe.
That is actually a fair point, in that out of the two, if you said, okay, would you rather play this or rather play this? I am more attracted to the fun factor of Terraforming Mars, and I don't know if it's even just like the little tiny details on cards that kind of make you chuckle a little bit, or they make you go, ooh, that looks interesting, or if it's something to do with the competitiveness and
it's
the puzzle.
The puzzle of Terraforming Mars. It's more interesting than Scythe.
Yeah, whereas with Scythe you have a lot of strategies you can choose from. And obviously you get your faction, which does different things. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like here is my faction against your faction.
Like we bought the modular board for Scythe about a month ago, and we still haven't used it. We haven't got Scythe to the table. A little bit of that is because we ran a big 24-hour convention, and we were a bit busy, and we still haven't got a gaming table back. But still, we had that way before the convention. It might have even been 2 or 3 months now. I've lost track of how long we've had that.
No, it was Christmas.
When I got the modular board.
Fenrir.
No. Rise of Fenris we started but haven't finished.
Yeah.
The modular board.
I even forgot we even had that.
Yeah, I bought it.
Oh my god, you're right. I actually genuinely forgot.
And we've not played it. At all.
Yeah. But
and we haven't finished Rise of Fenris.
No.
I love Scythe.
I do love the nice resource tokens, like the fancy ones.
Yeah, like we've gone and bought every expansion.
Yeah.
Pimped the game, and you've mostly painted it and stuff. And there's nothing to paint in Terraforming Mars, and the components are terrible quality.
But
I still, those kind of games, they have similar kind of play length, and I just gravitate to Terraforming Mars. I think the puzzle is more fun to solve. Because with Terraforming Mars, there are certain cards that have amazing synergies and strategies.
Oh my god,
and stuff.
yes.
And
they are so good, so satisfying.
even if you know them, you don't necessarily know you can pull them off in any given game, especially when you get expansions and that card deck gets big. And so you're looking for a new strategy, a new way. How am I going to be winning this one? And then you see your solution and you go, oh, but Jason's already seen how he's going to do it, and he's always got the lead on my own. I go, right, I need to find another way I need to counter that somehow, and so you're looking for that piece of the puzzle, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and the cards are quite contagious as well. You have to purchase your cards, and loads of them are really good and they're really interesting, but
where it's weak though,
you can't keep buying them.
Table space.
Oh yeah, that's a point. Yeah.
Because each player's the number of cards each player gets can be quite big.
Yeah,
now, admittedly,
yeah.
more players means you get less cards.
Yes, true. But you still have to place them all down in a nice little column, and because you have to keep track of how many icons you've got for certain things.
So we play at 2-player.
Yep.
Each player needs quite a large area. Now, for us, that's not a problem. We have a massive gaming table that's covered in your prizes.
Yes.
But it's definitely one of those games that doesn't fit onto every table.
Yes.
And there's a few games like that. Firefly is one with a huge board.
Yeah. Oh, that's even more so. Eldritch Horror is another one, as we've said.
Firefly. I mean, before I built the custom board, that is smaller. Actually. With the standard board, I actually bought 2 huge card grandstands for each end of the table.
Yeah, because there wasn't enough room on our table to put all the piles of cards.
I think on a new table it would probably work, but on the table we have, we genuinely couldn't fit Firefly on without the card grandstands. They were right at each end of the table. And those card grandstands, each of them have space for 18 decks.
Yep.
Which is crazy. And of course the biggest table space hog of all is Twilight Imperium. It'd be interesting to play that. Well, we did play it on the new table. It fit 4-player just fine.
Yeah. That was.
I don't know about
good.
6.
No. Well,
that would be a cramped table, and we have a 10x4 table. But prior to getting the big table, when we played Twilight Imperium, we actually had to get a second table out. So that is the biggest table space hog of all. And that's horrible when you have to do that. When you're playing on 2 tables, because it basically means you're standing all day.
Yeah. Which I quite like the idea, because you kind of move around the board and strategize, but you're all standing up all day.
Because it's an all-day play.
Yeah.
And you bear in mind, one of the people we were playing with back then had one leg and leg as well, so he really hurt by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So but yes. So anyway, that's us rambling about board games.
Are there any more board games you want to pick up? That you can think of?
You know what? The only thing I'm really, really waiting on at the moment is the new expansion for War of the Ring. Because we've played War of the Ring twice. Is it twice?
Yeah,
yes, twice. And we've held off playing again because I've been painting up all the minis.
Yeah.
I'm nearly finished. I've just got...
There were so many.
Yeah.
It's a bit
But
silly.
now there's a new expansion has been announced called the Kings of Middle-earth. Is it Kings or... Yeah, I think it calls it Kings. I don't think it's going to have many characters in.
No, but...
But it sounded quite interesting. They've hinted at some of the stuff that's going to be in it. And it's like... I don't think you get any characters, because you generally play the bad guys.
Them badass.
What you get is the ability to corrupt mine.
Okay. Cute.
I think that's how it's going to work. I don't entirely know. No one knows, because they haven't really said very much about it. But it's only going to have a few characters in, I think, because there's only a few characters it could have.
That I can corrupt them.
You can corrupt them. Yeah, you may well get some characters as well, who knows. But anyway. So, and I have no idea what impact it's going to have on the game. It's supposedly going to be released this year. There's still no sign of it and very few details, so don't know.
Maybe they actually meant financial year rather than calendar year.
Who knows? But we haven't yet played it with the expansion everyone says we should.
No,
which is the Lords of Middle-earth.
Yeah.
So I've nearly got everything painted. It's just I kind of stopped painting with the convention. I haven't gone back to it yet because I am doing the last lot of characters, and then we're going to get that back to the table. And I think we're going to do an all-day stream of that on Pog 2.
Yes,
because it will be all day play.
Yes.
But that, it does take me all day to beat him. What?
Wow. I was pretty close with one of the games.
Well, no, technically you won the second game.
Yeah, technically. Yeah.
So, alright, so I play as the good people, and militarily... The free peoples, yes. Militarily, the Sauron side should always win militarily.
Yes.
The question is whether they can do it before the free peoples can destroy the ring.
Yeah.
But the first time we played, I decided to go for military victory, and I did win that convincingly. Sorry, but it was actually really clever what I did. But anyway, it was straight out of Sun Tzu. Then the second time, I thought I'm going to try and do a ring victory this time. Talk about arrogance.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So I felt very much in control of this game, because I think you've still not mastered how to send those waves and the sieges and stuff.
I'm not big on war games, so no, not really.
So I went for the ring victory, and what I discovered about ring victories is it's very random.
Yes, and I corrupted Frodo, basically.
Yeah, on the last step, Frodo fell to
The
the
ring
darkness
is
of the ring.
mine. Ha ha.
And so now I've seen how that mechanic plays out. Yes, you can do a ring victory, but I went into that Mordor track with 3 corruption and with a balance of positive and negative tiles.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would let that situation play out again. I would make sure it's more in my favour.
Well, I put a load of corruption into your goblet throughout the game.
Yes, and I also put some the same power's worth of healing.
Yeah.
So, and I lost 9 corruption on that track. So I think I would go in now, either with 0 corruption on Frodo, which actually looks really hard. I don't know how you would achieve that.
I don't know. You tell me. You're the goodies.
Well, no, there's nowhere to rest him.
No.
You can only rest in a free city. Minas Tirith should have fallen by the time he gets there, and if it hasn't, you've still got to get through all the armies. So, and there's nowhere to the north to rest up.
No,
you've got to go a long way north. It's a hell of a trek. So your last place probably to rest up would be somewhere in Rohan.
Yeah.
You're probably Edoras. So yeah, I think ring victory sucks, and I will crush you militarily next time. Oh.
And on that sad note,
you just need to use your trolls.
Okay.
All right. Ronnie says War of the Ring looks great, but I don't know how I'd get it on the table that often. That is the problem. It is a 2-player game, and it is a long play game.
Yeah.
It's perfect for a gaming couple. However, as Jason's pointed out, he's not really into wargaming.
No.
I'm not massively into wargaming at all.
No, but you know how to strategize big piles of armies as to where they go and how they fight.
Here's the thing though, with every strategy game, I tend to win at first, but then you catch up.
Yes.
We've only played that game twice.
True.
I just pick up new games quicker.
Steve is asking about next Monday. Yes, we are playing next Monday.
We hope to. Very sorry about last Monday. 30 minutes. 30 minutes before we still thought we were going to play. There were a number of situations outside of the game that caused it. With a couple of players, we're still waiting on knowing if our new player has internet. So we might well be starting without the new player this week. But either way, I hope we'll be playing on Monday. But I need all the players to be available for that to happen, because I don't want to be 2 people down for the first game, because that would suck. But yes, POG 2 Monday night. It's always the plan to play. It's just sometimes it doesn't happen because life.
Yeah, real life.
Screw life. Need to be undead. Undead role players continually, and board gamers.
Wow.
Hope you've enjoyed talking board games with us tonight as we went through our spooky collection.
Spooky Halloween-y type games.
I noticed you changed the thumbnail on the video.
Yes. It wasn't great because I had about 10 minutes to do it in, but yes, I suddenly thought, oh yeah, pears could actually be pumpkins.
Is that
Like
what you've done?
orange pears.
I did notice they were a different colour.
Yes. So, yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Thank
we will
you
see you
very
next
much for
week.
watching. And you know what? We've gone and started the whole goodbye thing without even having the interface up on screen where we can actually stop streaming from.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next Friday. In the meantime, don't forget, every night we are releasing videos that were aired during Com Plus, so feel free to check those out and enjoy them. And we will see you next Friday for another live show where we might even have played an RPG for the first time in ages, and we might talk about role-playing games.
Oh my goodness me. Bye!
See ya! There's the button. There it is. And then you have to move the mouse.